Well, thank you for having me, Jack. I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised. It's a sad day. It's very sad because I think about the future, our future generation, and what this does is taking away the voices of the people. I don't even know people recognize the ramifications, the impact that this vote has by dividing and cracking and packing communities of color. The whole purpose of creating these communities is so that you have a coalition, that you have a shared interest, and that you can do things together, like go to the grocery store, go to church, and you also can make decisions together, and that's through the ballot box. And together you can vote for the candidate of your choice. But what happened today, they're splitting that up. You will no longer vote with your neighbor. People across the street from you will no longer be connected. They are dividing communities. They're even splitting precincts because they don't want you to have your collective power. And so it's a sad day in Texas. Well, I think we already had some districts that were coalition districts that were able to choose a candidate of their choice. What's wrong with that? Do they not trust Texas voters to do that? No, instead, they want to surgically draw lines so that they can determine the outcome of an election with the people that they select. And that's just not fair. That's not the democratic process. You need to be able to trust the voters to elect the candidate that they want and keep them together in their same communities. That didn't happen today. Today, they just split that up. And so it's very disappointing to see that this is the trajectory that we're going, because they're just rigging elections. And you also heard the bill author say, you know what, we could do it again. They could do it if a seat doesn't come out the way that they think it should. They can come in and redraw it anytime. And is that the power that we want to give our government, to make changes when they don't agree with the voters or with the people? No.
The Justice Department sent Governor Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton this letter saying that these coalition districts, and they identified four, including Congressman Mark Vesey's district, 33,
Yeah,
which is your district.
That's where I live. He's my
right?
congressman.
In Fort Worth.
They have racist implications, yes. It's racial gerrymandering, absolutely. So we anticipate that this will be taken to the courts, in the federal court, for a violation of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. It's important, we won't be able to do it until they're finally passed. We want to get this to the courts before the candidate filing deadline ends, or before it starts in November, because courts are unlikely to make a decision if the process has already started. So it's important that the courts get this right away. So as soon as the Senate takes it up, it'll probably get to the governor's office, and then it'll pass, and it'll be effective within so many days, and then it'll go straight to the court. I have no comment on that. I think that when people get offended, maybe they feel a certain way, and I can't control how you feel. If you feel like somebody's calling you something, I think that's more about you than it is about me. When you're talking about, when I looked at the visual that they presented on the floor, all those Republicans standing there. One comment I made was, you do not reflect the diversity of Texas. And then immediately they started pointing out the minorities in their coalition party, in their party, in the Republican Party. You know, you saw one Latino, two Latino, one black, another black. It was a handful of people of color. And they're proud about that. Texas is 60% of people of color. And you're proud about having a handful. That does not reflect the diversity of Texas. So I don't trust them to make the right decisions for the 60% of people. And so I think that, that's all political fodder and theater, and it sounds, sensational, but it's not true. It's not true. And the fact that they're proud of that is embarrassing. No, it's not just an escort. So let me make it very clear.
Yeah.
The permission slip said, I agree to be released into the custody of the Department of Public Safety. Now that's different than having an escort. When you're in the custody of somebody, you're under their control. And if you're under the custody of law enforcement, it seems like you've done a crime. It signifies some type of criminal activity. I'm not a criminal. I have not done anything illegal by exercising my right to object. So I don't want to be subjected to the control of DPS. And so I refused. But it's not an escort. It's not just an escort. It's the custody of the Department of Public Safety. That's what the wording was. Oh, I was really surprised because I was confined. I was on house arrest. I didn't know that this was all going on out here. People were sending me messages saying, oh, it's getting a lot of attention. And I was like, I had no idea. But I got a call from Vice President Kamala Harris, who was watching. She's watching and observing, and she's listening to the people in America. And that's what I want in my leader. So we're getting such overwhelming response from people because I just refuse. And a lot of people feel that way. They're just not, they feel like there's things that are going on that are wrong and they don't know what to do. And in that moment, I just stood still because I didn't know what to do. I really didn't. I just said, I don't want to do it. I refuse. I'm just going to stand here, my ground. I'm going to stand here. I went and sat at my desk and sat there for a minute, and then they noticed. They said, oh, you haven't signed the paper. And I said, I'm not signing it. And they didn't know what to do at that point. And then they said, no, you can't leave. You can't leave the premises unless you sign. So I was being held against my will. I was not going to agree to be in custody of law enforcement. And it was just a battle of wills at that point. But today it ended because they got what they want, was these rigged maps. They don't care about flood legislation. They care about rigging the elections. So we saw that happen today, and they got what they want, and it's over. Yeah. Yeah, the House rules.
Yeah.
The House rules does not talk about a rolling, because this is a moving type of enforcement. The House rules only talk about bringing someone to the floor. It doesn't talk about being tracked and trailed. It doesn't talk about that. So this is unprecedented. We've not had a situation where members have to get a detail of law enforcement and in their custody in order to maintain a quorum. That's not in the House rules. The House rules just said that they can enforce a quorum by issuing these civil arrests. Civil arrest means take the person to the place. They were supposed to take us to the floor. This is unprecedented, where they're actually putting members on probation, having a parole officer tend to them and monitor them 24 hours a day. That is unprecedented, and that is not in the Constitution. Well, what I accomplished was that I won't agree to just whatever. Just because you have the upper hand doesn't mean that I have to agree. I have a right to challenge my government. I have a right to refuse, and I have a right to resist. And I hope I made everyone aware that you still have your First Amendment right of free speech and demonstration, and that hasn't gone away. But if we continue to let Trump get more reinforcement in the federal government, there may be a day where we don't have any rights to defend.
Representative Nicole Collier, Fort Worth, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jack.
We appreciate it.